What am I currently reading? Let's find out. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I've got for you a kind of what am I reading currently type of video. These are books that I'm currently reading, obviously. However, some of them might go back a year or so in terms of when I started said book. So this is something that I had discussed on one of the podcast episodes we just did recently, where I said I was going to talk about books that I started, and some of them I'm currently reading, and some of them I have stopped and will need to figure out what I'm going to do in terms of restarting it or continuing from where I'm at, and I'm going to talk about them here. Sorry if you see any glare on the glasses. We are in Danielle's library office, and a good amount of glare kind of comes in through the windows in here. But yeah, don't forget to check out our Instagrams, the podcast, mine, Danielle's, all that's going to be down below, as well as where to listen to the podcast. We'll also have that link down below. And if you're interested in any of these books that I have stopped reading, we'll have those linked down below as well. But don't let that scare you off from these books. It's just I've stopped reading them just because other things have come up. But yeah, without further ado, I think we're going to get this thing started. If you like stuff like this, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started. Alright, so the first couple of books are ones that I actually have started to kind of go with my April TBR that I made, and the other ones, which we'll talk about afterwards, are ones that I have just stopped reading, and I'll kind of explain why, and whether or not I'm going to be picking them back up, and when I will be picking them back up. But let's get started with the first one, and that is The Shuddering by Anya Alborn. So this book is about a group of friends who go to a cabin in the woods and are terrorized by some creatures. I'm currently on chapter 10. I don't know if you can see that well enough. But so far I'm really enjoying this book. I read Brother by Anya Alborn, and I gave that 5 stars. So far I will say this is at least 4 stars for me. So we'll see where it goes. It's just been a really solid book. The first couple of chapters I noticed, the first couple of pages were told in a different perspective. So it was told in the past, I want to say. They don't really give a time frame, but it's told in the past, before or during, while the main 4 antagonists are being terrorized by these creatures. So you're kind of getting an idea of what they're dealing with, but nothing really bad seems to happen until a little bit after, I think it was chapter 6 or 7 is when stuff kind of started going bad. I could be wrong on that. I apologize. But overall, it's been a really solid book, and I mean, it could end up being a 5-star, but we still got 3 or 4 chapters left. So we'll see how it goes. But there you have The Shuddering by Anya Alborn. Alright, the next one, which was also on my April TBR, which we'll link that up here if you want to take a look at that. We've got Gerald's Game by Stephen King. I recently just picked this up and started reading it. I'm on chapter 2, so I'm not that far into it. And so far all that's happened is Gerald has died and the woman is handcuffed to the bed. So, yeah, there's still a whole entire book left of just this woman being trapped to a bed and what she sees. Which I hear it's she gets apparitions and sees people, hears voices. A whole bunch of weird things go on, and it's pretty much just her survival story and trying to get out of the situation she's in. So we'll see where it goes from here, but so far it's been, it's only been a chapter. It's been 18 pages, so no complaints yet, but no idea what the star rating is going to end up being. So there you have Gerald's Game. Alright, so the next 4 are books that I have started and just set down because other things came up. Whether we decided to do a different video or we just didn't continue reading the book. The first one is Ghost Story by Peter Straub. The intention behind this book was to pair it up with Phantoms by Dean Koontz, which that book is, by what I heard from somebody, was his adaptation of It, in a sense. Obviously, a couple thought couple hundred pages shorter. But I also was kind of doing it as like an author versus author compared to Stephen King. Because Straub and Kuntz are like top authors in the horror genre with Stephen King. And so every time I look up, like Peter Straub, like Ghost Story is like the top book that comes up. And obviously Dean Kuntz, it's not the same thing with Phantoms, but I heard it had some relevance to it, so I needed to read that one. So I have not started Phantoms yet because I was going to do this, and we were going to do it as like a comparison video, and we just kind of put that on the back burner and didn't continue with it. So this is a story about a couple of friends who meet up every year, and they tell like stories of the past, and the story that happens to get brought up this year is something that the group of friends did that like haunts them to this day, and then some weird stuff I believe starts happening. I only ended up getting to page 84, and to be honest, I'm going to finish this because I need to do that. I'm still wanting to do that video with him, I guess, versus Kuntz with Phantoms. But I don't know, the first part of this so far has just been kind of lackluster. It hasn't like built up too much, but I'll pick it up again one of these days. So I just don't know when. So there you have Ghost Story, Peter Straub. The next three I'm going to talk about are all King books, and as I mentioned in the podcast, if you have listened to it, they are the three biggest King books that I still have to read in terms of how thick the book is. So the most recent one I started out of the three is 11/22/63. So this is more of like a historical fiction where the antagonist goes back in time to try and stop the Kennedy assassination. He ends up meeting the love of his life, and a whole bunch of things ensue. Obviously, in this giant, I want to say it's at least got to be 1,000 pages. No, it's not. 800 and something pages. Some interesting things are going to happen. I got to page 37, and then I set it down. The last thing I remember happening is the guy ended up going back in time to, I don't think it was 63. I think he ends up going back in time like a little bit before then, and then like he builds up somewhat of a life, and then he tries to stop the assassination. I believe that's what it is. I have not, so I started this, I still want to say it was 2020 when I started this. I don't think I started it this year. I could be mistaken though. My Goodreads will be the answer for that. But I set this down because work had just started getting busy again, and I just really didn't want to like have to work a day and then come back and try and tackle this. Because even at 2 times speed, which is what I usually listen to my audiobooks at, I think somebody asked me that in one of my previous YouTube videos, and I don't remember if I commented back to it. I usually try and aim for 2 times speed because that kind of sounds more normal, but it depends on the narrator. And the one who does this 2 times speed works, so the 40-something hour becomes like a day's worth of reading. And I've been trying to find the time to do this because I was going to do this as its own reading vlog, and then I just, like I said, work got busy, and so we just kind of stopped. So, do I need to restart the book? I mean, I'm only like 30-something pages into it, so I really didn't get that far, so it probably wouldn't make a difference if I restarted it or just tried to continue from where I'm at. But I think restarting it is probably going to be the option I'm going to go with. So, but yeah, one of these days we'll get back to this because I need to read this. Because a lot of people, this is in their top 5 or 10 Stephen King books of all time. So, yeah. There you have 11/22/63. Alright, the next one is another like top 5, 10 like King book that a lot of people talk about, depending on how you like the ending. That is something that I've heard that King did not do well with this next book, and that is Under the Dome. So, like I said before I started the last 3 books, if you've noticed, these are all books that are over like 800 pages. So this is about a dome that falls over a town, and it's kind of like the story of like the people within the town, what happens, and you know, their survival and everything like that. And the problem I had with this is we weren't doing this in a vlog. It was just a book that I was just going to read, and I got to page 98 of almost like 1100. And I started it late one night and went until like 1 in the morning. And I ended up having to work the next day. And so I was like mentally drained from reading about an hour and a half, 2 hours a book. And I mean, the book is staggering. It's a really thick one. It's the second or third longest book in King's arsenary. Obviously behind The Stand, and I think the book It is about the same size as this one, if not a little bit smaller. But It I have read, and The Stand I've read. So I've read the 2 out of the 3 biggest books he's written. But this one, I'm just like, still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And with me being 96 pages in, I'm going to try my darndest to try and remember where I'm at so I don't have to restart, because I think I did read a solid like hour and a half or 2 hours of audio with this. So I really don't want to restart that. So, but we'll see. One of these days I'll restart this one. Maybe we'll put it in a vlog. Maybe it'll be like a recent reads or something like that. But might be a little bit before I get to that. And this was something that I did start in 2020. I know that for sure. It was late last year. So there you have Under the Dome, Stephen King. Alright, and the last book I'm going to talk about is the one... I started this book... I think I actually started this right around after I finished It. It was back in January of 2020, and that is Insomnia. This is the book that has haunted me for a very long time. It's not even 800 pages. It's not even 800 pages, and I hit a wall with this book. I don't have the bookmark in there anymore, because it's been well over a year since I picked this thing up, and I'm 1000% going to need to restart this book. I don't even remember the main character's name. That's just how bad it is. I also have 2 editions of this book, so the bookmark could be in the other edition. I'm not sure. Because there is one where it's white with red writing on it. And I think I might have the bookmark in that version, but I don't remember 100%. I had actually set this one down because I was having a tough time getting into the story. And I want to say that was mainly... I think I started this after I read Misery, which was the book I read, I think, after It. So I had already tackled one of the bigger books in King's repertoire. I really did not see me trying to push myself through Insomnia, because I think I almost got 2. No, I don't even know if I hit 100 pages. I don't even remember at this point. It's been so long. But I really didn't want to sit and try and read another giant book. So by what I remember with this book is it's about a guy who has issues falling asleep, and he'll go out on walks in the middle of the night and he starts seeing some crap. The main reason I want to try and get into this one is because there are references to the Dark Tower series. Some of the things he sees are creatures from the Dark Tower world, and I love the Dark Tower series, and so I need to be able to push through and finish this. As I said in the podcast, DNFing a Stephen King book is against literally everything that I believe in. So I have to be able to finish all of his books at least once. And if I decide not to read it a second time, then that's what's going to happen. But I have to be able to read all of his books. And Insomnia has been kicking me in the butt with trying to finish it and pick it back up. So the reason... I just couldn't get into the story. That's the big reason why I stopped reading it, is I was just having issues getting into it. So, but who knows, now that I've read the whole Dark Tower series, maybe I'll be able to get into it a little bit easier and finally finish it. So, I don't know. There you have Insomnia. Alright guys, so these are the books that I have started and am technically still reading. At least the ones that I've started in the past 9 months. Year. I am enjoying this set over here, except for Ghost Story. I need to try and get myself back into that one, but Gerald's Game and The Shuddering are part of my April TBR, so I'm trying to get into those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a poll on my Instagram. which again, that is linked down below. Check it out. If you want to vote on stuff like this, you know, be part of the action, I'll say. Follow me on Instagram. That'll be posted down below. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a poll on my Instagram on which of the big three of this three-headed monster should I do my next reading vlog on in terms of a big book. Should I read 11/22/63? Should I read Under the Dome? Or should I read Insomnia? The decision is up to you because I for sure cannot make that decision. So we'll have the poll up within a couple days, or it might be up while, you know, you're watching this. I'm not sure, but
we'll put it live when the video goes live.
Yeah, we'll put it up when the video goes up, which I don't know when that's going to be. But you guys decide on what I'm going to read next in my big book reading vlog. I don't think that's what I'm going to end up calling it, but that's what I'm calling it for right now. So 11/22/63, Under the Dome, or Insomnia. Which of those big three should I read next? You guys decide. Yeah, there you have it. This was fun. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.